That is called effective communication. When we can communicate about a situation that may come up in advance, that's the preventative work that we should all be doing, because that means if we do the prevention, there's less intervention. Now we're not arguing in the midst of something because you've already communicated.
Yeah. Today's episode of the Backyard Podcast, we got my big brother, Dwight Taylor Sr., my mentor, also my life coach, an author, producer, music writer, a motivational speaker, an exceptional listener, and a gratitude giver. Today's going to teach you guys how to dominate your day in every aspect of life. So sit back, relax, and really lock in, because this episode is one for the books.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world, appreciate you for tuning into an episode of Backyard Podcast. I'm your host, Marcellus Howard, and I'm here with a very special guest. He has been a mentor of mine, a great friend of mine, a great big brother of mine, one of the biggest motivational speakers I've ever met in my life. What else? He's a creative director. He's a producer.
Yeah.
What else? Executive produces. He's a boss, and plenty more to add on to the resume. But he goes by the name of Dwight Taylor Sr., and I am very pleased and thankful to have him on this episode today. My boy.
My guy.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, this has been long overdue.
Yeah.
I was telling Trio today, I asked him, I was like, do you know who we got on the episode today? He's like, no, you didn't tell me. I said, do you remember this talk we had, talking to Trio, about a year and a half ago before our friend Cash left? And he was like, oh, the Dominate Your Day thing. So I gave them a Dominate Your Day speech.
Okay.
I said, I learned this from my mentor, Dwight Taylor Sr.
Yeah.
So now, come full circle, he gets to meet you today and hear more of your story.
Let's get it.
Right? Now, we're going to jump straight into it.
Let's do it.
So, Dominate Your Day, it's on your shirt.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that means?
I will. So before I do that, man, I just want to thank you for having me on here.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? I don't take this lightly. Been able to watch you for years, since you was probably a sophomore, junior in high school. Yeah. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah. And just to see your evolution and your growth has been an amazing thing to see from a distance, and also see extremely up close. And for you to have a podcast and doing what you love to do, it's exciting to me. So congratulations, and thank you again for having me.
Appreciate you, brother.
Dominate your day. It's real simple. Most people hear it and they like, oh, that's a catchy phrase, a catchy statement, which it is. Mm-hmm. But more so, it's a mindset. And it's really just saying, force your will upon your day instead of letting your day force its will upon you. Right? There's probably times when maybe the night before you went to sleep, you decided that, hey, I want to do 1, 2, 3, and 4 tomorrow. So you wrote those things down, you got ready for it, you prepared for it. And for whatever reason, the next day came, and those 4 things did not get done. Mm-hmm. Maybe 2 got done, maybe 1 got done, but the 4 things that you set out to do the night before did not get done. And usually that's because you allowed your day to force its will upon you. Mm-hmm. You began to be swayed by every single thing that the day had for you, instead of saying, you know what, I'm gonna force my will. I'm gonna force my best effort and what I call perfect effort up on my day. And so again, dominate your day. It's a mindset. Yeah. It's saying I'm gonna be intentional about giving my perfect effort and nothing less. I'm not saying be perfect in everything that we do, because none of us are perfect. But I am saying when it comes to your effort, you can be perfect in that. You can give everything you can to every moment, second, minute, hour of every day, every week, every month, every year for the rest of your life, right? And if you don't do that, and this is the last part about dominate your day, if you don't give your perfect effort to all of those things I just mentioned, not only will you be doing yourself a disservice, but you'll also be doing a disservice to people who are counting on you. Wow. And so every day is dominate your day. It's not win the day. No, I'm trying to dominate. Like if I'm playing 21, well, back in the day. If I'm playing 21, I'm not trying to beat you 21-19. I'm trying to beat you 21-2, if that. Yeah. You dig what I'm saying? I'm trying to dominate in every single way. So when it comes to me being a father, I dominate. When it comes to me being a husband, I dominate. A grandson, a grandfather now, I dominate. You know, a brother, a uncle, a nephew. I'm trying to dominate. And that just means bring the best version of me to every moment of my day.
Listen, guys, people out there watching, we just started this podcast, and I hope you guys can see or hear the energy my man brings. Yeah. This is Dwight every single day. I talk to him every time we meet in person. This is the same Dwight that I met, I believe it was my junior year of high school. Yeah. When you came to our chapel and you were rapping at the time. Yeah. Right? I think you came 2 days.
Yep.
There's a 2-day thing. Like I think you rapped the first day. The
Yeah.
second day, I think you came and gave us a motivational speech. From that day forward, I said, I have to meet that guy. I have to make sure, put it on my agenda to meet that guy. I met you, excuse me. And as soon as I met you, the energy shifted the way I thought about things in the moment, in that very moment.
Wow.
And it's very hard for people to shift my energy and think about things in a moment. And you're one of the people to do that. And it's like, after that moment we met, we stayed in contact from junior year of high school when I was 17, 16 to 26.
Right.
That's 10 years of friendship.
Right.
That's what? That's 40 seasons of knowing each other.
Come on.
It's a beautiful thing. And yeah, I've been looking forward to this podcast all damn day. Excuse my language. All day. But that was kind of our backstory.
Yeah.
But to harp on your backstory a little bit, how did you get into rapping, then motivational speaking at the same time?
Yeah. So I got into rapping because my father, Wendell Taylor Jr., shout out to my father, he had his own rap group back in the day.
Okay.
Right. And so this was in the 80s. And it was called IGO. It's going on. You can Google that.
Yeah.
And you can see they album cover and everything. And my pop's got a hat on. I think it says JS for the high school he went to called John Sweat.
Okay.
And he used to DJ. He had another guy who was like an engineer. And then there was a guy named Rennie Wren who used to rap. And I used to hear them in my grandmother and grandfather's garage all the time.
Okay.
And they rapping. And I'm 5 years old. And they rapping. And I'm like, man, this is cool. I love music. I always was dancing, doing something.
Yeah.
And one day my dad actually invited me into the garage. I usually wasn't able to go in the garage because I'm trying to mess with stuff, right? But my dad had me come into the garage, and I just got to witness something that literally sparked a passion in me. I got to witness music at a higher level. I got to witness this artist by the name of Rennie Wren get on a mic, just like I got in my hands, and just go.
Yeah.
Saying words, putting them together like my boy Wordsmith say, like pieces to a puzzle. He putting these things together. And the way he was doing it, in my 5-year-old mind, I said, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
And when I told my dad that, he was like, you probably can. And so I remember it was maybe 2-3 weeks later, I told him I wanted to rap.
Yeah.
Right. And he was like, come into the garage. And at that point, he was like, go ahead and spit something.
Okay.
You know, and I'm 5 years old. I'm watching Sesame Street. I'm watching all that good stuff. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about cars, trucks, toys. I got head to think with. I got ears to hear with, all that, right? And so whatever I'm learning in school, that's what I'm rapping about. Yeah. And from that moment, it was just like, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to use music and use words to not just encourage other people, which it ended up being, but just to fulfill something in me. It brought me joy. Yeah. You know, and I'm big on being a joyful person, but also encouraging people to find what brings you joy. Yeah. And do that as often as you can. And I differentiate joy and happiness. To me. One man's opinion is happiness is something that will come and go. If I got a lot of money, I'm happy. If I don't, I'm not happy. Yeah. But joy is something that is more inward, more internal. And that's just saying, you know, I'm grateful to be alive today, so I'm going to live this day with joy. Yeah. Right? That's something that nobody can take from me. And as a kid, that's what it was for me. It just brought me joy. So I'll be rapping all the time, which led me to rapping in high school. Right? And I had aspirations of being the Bay Area superstar, you know what I'm saying, when in rap. And I worked for 106 KMEL, did some internships, putting up stuff, and was hoping that the internship would lead me to getting on the mic and being able to spit. Yeah. It didn't happen like that, but I just kept rapping and kept writing. I used to be in history class, and when my teacher, any students out there, do not follow what I'm about to say. I'm just keeping it real with y'all. But I used to have my history book up, and my history teacher would be on the other side thinking that I'm doing my work. But what I would really have is my notebook behind it, and I'd just be writing raps all day long. And it's not because I was trying to be disrespectful, but more so, I'm passionate. Yeah. And I believe that, you know, passion is something that you would do every single day and do it for free. And that's what I was passionate about. And so I was writing, I was rapping, I was in talent shows. Fast forward to what you're talking about, you know, when I came to your school, it was still a passion for me to rap. And although at 5 I was rapping about toys, cars, trucks, Sesame Street, by the time I met you, I was rapping about what was in my heart, which was my faith. And so that's what I began to rap about because, again, it brought me joy. Yeah. It wasn't connected to a happiness or a feeling. It was just the joy that I had and being grateful to be able to use this medium to communicate a message. And intertwining that with speaking was just an automatic thing, right? Like I used to do concerts, and in between my songs, which was way different than people did, you know, their show set or their concerts back in the day, most people would rap and just the next song would come right on. Then the next song would come right on. I was like, after a song comes on, I'm going to talk about that song a little bit.
Okay.
And then I'm going to talk about the next song. And then I'm going to get you engaged and tell you what the chorus is so that when the next song come in, you can participate with me and we can get that energy. And now you can feel the joy that I feel. You dig what I'm saying? And so the speaking really just came out of me rapping and being on stages. And now speaking is what's at the forefront, but I still rap a little bit.
Man, come on now. Hey. Well, yeah, I know you used to rap a little bit because you had one of your songs that was on ESPN, which you're going to talk about in a little bit, right?
Let's
talk about that now.
4 of them, though.
Yeah, so wait.
4 of them.
So before I make my point, you have 4 songs on ESPN.
Yeah.
What is that feeling like? I know that's super joyous.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I've been reading the dictionary a little bit.
There we go. It was a monumental moment for me because I grew up sports household. Playing baseball, playing basketball, playing soccer, did karate, watching ESPN Sports Center, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so to then have my song or songs played on Sports Center, the thing that I grew up watching was mind-blowing to me. Yeah. But along with being mind-blowing, it was another sign that said, if I could think it and I could believe it, I could actually become it.
I don't think they heard you on that one.
Listen, if I can think it and I can believe it,
then
I can become it. I used to watch SportsCenter when I was a kid, not even knowing that I was paying attention to the music, but because I was so ingrained into it, you know, all that, right? Like any kind of music that would play going into a commercial or any music that would play when it was a highlight, I would vibe with it.
Yeah.
And to know that years later, this is what was happening to my music. One of my claim to fame is that one of my songs, and maybe we'll link it, you know, somewhere in the show notes, but one of my songs was played when LeBron was playing, I believe, for the Heat.
Okay.
And it was played like it's called a bumper. And so it's like going into the commercial.
Yeah.
And my man dunked. And then he like stands, he's dunking and he starts hitting his shoulders like this. Now, my music obviously wasn't playing in the arena, but the way that they did it made it seem like bro was gigging to my music.
Oh, that's hard.
So I'm like, oh, that's King James.
Yeah, come on.
Dancing to my music.
Yeah.
On SportsCenter. In front of millions of people.
Do you have that clip?
I got that clip.
Oh, send me that clip.
I got it.
Yeah, that'll be, send me that.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on 2 things.
Yeah.
You talked about joy about a few minutes ago, and that's one of the big things for me, that a lot of people see me and they see the success and they think they see the money, right? And they're like, man, you're happy. You have no reason to be sad. And I'm like, but I've never been chasing happiness. I've always been chasing pure joy. Yeah. Because one of my favorite songs, Golden by Jill Scott. And she always says, living my life like it's golden. And she's like talking about her freedom, her joy. And I listen to that song daily. That's one of my favorite songs. And I tell people the reason why I chase joy instead of happiness is because joy, like you were saying, is everlasting.
Come on.
Happiness is such a temporary feeling because anything can make you happy. If you're having, excuse my language, sex with multiple women, that can make you happy at the time. Or you're buying clothes, or you're buying jewelry, you're buying cars and shoes, and that's temporary happiness. But then what happens, you know, the next day and all that when you can't afford it? Right. Are you still happy? Or are you sad, like you were saying? But when you're joyful and you have joy, pure joy, I feel like nothing can replace that. And one of the things that brings me joy and that keeps joy in me is my faith in God, my faith in the Lord, just the communication between that, and then having a good community around you to instill that. You guys are instilling joy in each other. Like, F happiness, I want to be joyful the rest of my life. And that's one thing I've been working on, because I thought always happiness was the goal. Yeah. But it's literally joy. Yeah. And
you're talking heavy right now.
Hey, you know, I've been doing my homework.
Heavy.
I wonder why I've been talking heavy. There's actually a reason that I'm saying this right now, is because kind of off topic but on topic to what you're saying. Do you remember when I asked you to be my mentor? This is about 2020, beginning of COVID. Yeah. And you gave me five things to list in order of importance and detail them, right? I actually have those printed out.
Are you
today.
serious?
I haven't printed out
Come
today.
on.
I haven't. Come on, man. So
Come
look.
on, bruh.
So my number one was spirituality and religion.
Come on.
And I have all the detailed notes and everything below it. And then number 2 is integrity.
Yeah.
3 was respect
Come on.
for human life. And then
Yeah.
5 was justice.
Yeah.
So you told me to rank them in order of importance.
Yes.
And what always remains for me, like what always remains the main thing is the main thing. It's always spirituality and religion, because we live in a time of society where if you're speaking about religion, you're frowned upon, or you're trying to harp it on people.
Yeah.
Or if you're speaking about religion, people say you're contradicting yourself because the Bible contradicts itself. And then I question people and say, well, when they ask me, like, why are you Christian? And I was like, me personally, I'm a Bible Christian, not a society Christian, because they've made Christianity more of a politic game than it is actually about the Bible. So I like to learn more about what Jesus actually wrote and said in terms of what they're teaching us in schools, or bringing up the Christopher Columbus situations and stuff like that. That's what I'm passionate about more so. So that's why spirituality and religion is number 1 for me, because it goes beyond being a Christian. I'm a believer.
Come on.
Not a Christian in a way, if that makes sense. Not to shame anybody who is Christian, because I am Christian in the Bible sense, but not of what society sees. And then my last thing was justice on there. And that was the least important of the 5, was because we live in a system where justice is not justice.
Right.
But it's still important. But in order to reach justice, I feel like personally you have to have your spirituality correct, you have to have your respect correct, you have to have your integrity in line, and you have to be able to be in a room and demand respect before I can demand justice. I can't go into a room and do all these, like, I'm robbing people and shooting people and killing people, but I'm like, but we need justice in our justice system. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
That's like 2 different parallels. You can't come into a room doing bad things, but then wanting good things from it. So yeah, that's why I printed it out right there.
Crazy, bruh. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So here's the crazy part for your viewers out there who don't know. So this was an activity that when I'm doing coaching or mentoring with people, this is an activity I have them do, and it's called a values worksheet. And so it actually had 25 things on there, and then you picked your top 5.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay.
It had 25 and you picked your top 5. So even if justice, or no matter where they landed, those 5 were even more important than the other 20 that were on there. And what I know and what I believe is that our values dictate our actions. Ooh. And so when we can live based off of what we value, especially if they're healthy, then we can be okay with the actions that we have.
Yeah.
And the reality is, everybody who's watching this, listening to this, is living from their values. It just depends on what kind of values they got. If they value popularity, that's what they living off of. If they value making money, that's what they doing. If they value spirituality, that's what they're doing. But everybody is living based on their values. My encouragement is for us to really dig deep and find out, what do we truly value? And that's what that day was about. Like, what do you truly value, so that you can then start being intentional?
Yeah.
As you dominate your day by using those 5 values to lead you every step of the way.
I totally forgot it was 25 values on there. I remember now, because there was like money was on there, and I have a relationship with money is kind of just use it as a tool. Don't let it use you. But when I went through that, and I went through those core values, or kind of my core values, right? And I went through that list, and I haven't read that in almost 2 years. Right now, I'm just living it.
Right.
So then I went back on my my SD drive that I had, which is from 2020, 2021. I was just going through old footage and stuff, and I literally came across that. Had no meaning to come across it.
Yeah.
And I said, I wasn't looking for this, but I'm like, God, why are you showing me this?
Right.
And it was just a reminder to still remain, to be you, and to remain, to have those values, because if you're intentional with those values, it's gonna pay dividends tenfold. So that it's crazy. I feel like I'm a young Dwight right now. I feel like I'm preaching over here.
but that's what it is, right? Because you're talking from a place of not just you read something. You're talking from a place of actually living it out.
Yeah.
Right? You said you hadn't read those or looked at them in years, but you've been living them.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about, right? A lot of people got head knowledge, but not too many people put action behind those things. You'll hear, what's the saying? Knowledge is power. And I don't agree. I believe that applied knowledge is power.
Ooh, explain. Okay.
We can have knowledge. You can read my books, plug.
Come on now,
both
plug
my
them.
books,
Yeah.
Dominate Your Day 100 Power Statements and Dominate Your Day 30 Power Statements. You can read that and have knowledge.
Yeah.
But if you don't do anything with that knowledge, then it's just words from a page. So I believe that applied knowledge is power. And that's what you were doing with your 5 values. You were applying them every day.
Yeah.
And you were seeing the fruit of you applying them. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important for us to be intentional about our values, because the reality is we can be intentional or we're irresponsible. No gray area.
No gray area.
We either intentional with what we do or we're irresponsible. Intentional with our words or we're irresponsible. Intentional with our money or irresponsible. Intentional with relationships or irresponsible. I say choose intentionality.
You told me this plenty of times, but it still blows my mind to still think deeper in the meanings of things about applied knowledge is power.
Come on.
Even you brought up something about relationships.
Yeah.
I feel as if relationships are one of the most important things to the human race, because I say that because if you look at the most popular people in the world or the richest people in the world, they tend to kill themselves, commit suicide, or try to commit suicide because they always say at the top it's lonely. Yeah. And I've said multiple times on different accounts, I disagree. I firmly disagree. If you don't bring others with you to the top, you know what I'm saying, give them jobs or employ them so that when you're at the top, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor with your people, a la LeBron, Rich Paul, Mav Carter, right? You just want to do it by yourself. Of course, it's going to be lonely, right? So, but then it goes back to intention. What are you intentional about? Are you intentional about just reaching the certain dollar amount and burning every bridge along the way, so that you're going to be lonely when you get there? Or are you saying it's because you don't want people leeching off you? In that case, you need to judge your friend group.
Come on,
right? So for me, if I'm touching billions, best believe I'm gonna have Trio right there, Zay right there, Cash right there. I'm gonna have all my boys with me.
Can you put me in that group?
Oh, come on now.
Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Come on now.
I was waiting.
Yes, I got Dwight will for sure be in there,
okay,
but
I'm just checking.
But I feel like it's intentionality. Like if you're intentional about bringing those with you, then you're not gonna be like, oh, it's lonely at the top.
Facts.
I feel like that's just what people say because when they make it out of something, it's lonely up here. No, it's not.
Right.
Like I've touched a good success level and I don't feel lonely at the top or the middle or anything because I'm not sitting here burning bridges. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. And it's hard for me to even do this podcast with you because I've always told you when we sit to have a conversation, I literally just sit there and listen and suck up game. So now I'm in a place where I have to listen and then elaborate. And it's just like, I love just listening to this dude talk because when he talks, it's like it feeds your brain. It's feeding your brain, right?
Wow.
It's just like I'm sitting there soaking in knowledge, soaking in game so that I can overflow my cup to others. So it's like I'm an extension of you in a way. And I don't have many mentors, and this is my main guy right here, right? And although we don't talk as often as we used to every other day or every week like we used to, you'll send these empowering texts saying, "Yo, King, dominate your day, love you, bro." Like, and it's just something like that. I may be going through something of like my mental isn't in the right place, and I see that text in the morning. First thing I see, I'm like, "Oh man, you know what? Let me go knock out 5 vids today. Let me go knock out this, you know."
Do it.
And it's not even the fact of you doing it. I feel like it's more so of God is directing knowledge through you to other people. And it's so empowering to be a part of it and see that. And to elaborate on this, why I'm bringing this up is because we've had plenty of talks, right? And I kind of want to dive into this subject of what we've talked about years, right? And it's relationships with women or girlfriend, wife thing, right? And people who know me know that I'm on this life journey to, you know, potentially become a husband. Soon come. And this guy has been in the game longer than I have been. And I kind of want to pick your brain a little bit on marriage. What is the most beautiful thing about it?
So if you would have asked me this when my wife and I first got married back in 2008, I would have said the most beautiful thing about it is that I have someone who can meet the need of me not knowing how to cook. I'm gonna keep it solid.
Okay.
That was me. That was a value of mine. That was important to me. You dig? But you asked me today, in 2022, man, the thing that I love the most about being married is the intentionality that goes into making the marriage work.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm big on process.
Yeah.
Right? When I was younger, I used to rush the process. I used to want to get to the end. I didn't want to go through the journey.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm a person who says, no, I'm not just going to go through the journey. I'm going to grow through the journey,
And-
become better, and understand that there is no destination.
Yeah.
It's not about me getting to a certain place. It's not about me and my wife getting to this peak on the mountain and now we have all the wisdom and we know everything. No, it's about this forever journey until we leave this earth. But the bigger piece is who we're becoming along the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so the beautiful part is just the intentionality of putting in the work every day for us individually to become better people.
Yeah.
Which then makes us collectively a better unit. And so that's what I love the most about being married. And it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
That what I just said to you, for me to show up every day
Every single
and
day.
dominate my day
Yeah.
and be Mr. Domination and all that good stuff and the encouragement expert, all these other things that I've told people that I am, it's very difficult to show up like that every day, especially if I'm frustrated with her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially if she did something to piss me off, especially if, we didn't go to bed on good terms. It's tough, but I know that I'm about the process.
Yeah.
So instead of rushing the process and just trying to get through it, I'm trusting the process because I've seen the process since 2008.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? And so that's what I love about being married. And I'm going to throw this in there real brief. And if we talk about it, we talk about it longer, but I'm not saying this because we've had a perfect marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that because I know everything. No, I'm learning every single day. The reality is we got married in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
We got separated in 2013. We got divorced in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I asked her to remarry me in 2016. And now we're on round 2, year 6. So we've been through it.
Yeah.
So what you're getting from me today is going through all of that, but more so growing through all of that. And now we are super intentional about how we communicate with each other, which is the biggest thing that I could say for any type of relationship, but especially a marriage, how we communicate. And I'm not saying me talking to her. I love talking. This is what I do. This is what I get paid to do. But I'm talking about how I listen to her, how I read her body language, how I listen to her tone, how I watch her facial expressions, how I know when her leg gets to tapping, she's thinking about something. And depending on which leg it is, she might be frustrated about something. That's something I didn't notice 2008 to 2013 because I wasn't caring. I was just trying to get a good cooked meal, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like, nah, in order for our house to be great, in order for our kids to be great, we both got to be great. And so that's the beautiful part about me growing through and being intentional in our marriage. And so, yeah, man.
Well, I mean, I'm all for elaboration.
Yeah.
So you said you got divorced in
2014.
Got remarried in 2016. What was that process like of going through the divorce and then getting remarried again? Because going through divorce, I know, is probably a stressful thing. And it's kind of like, I've heard things people saying like they made an oath to God. So like when they go through the divorce, it's kind of like the end of the world for people. But I mean, you've literally grown through that and got remarried again. Like walk me through that, how that process was.
The process was challenging. I'll just start off with that. It was challenging mainly because, and what our truth is, my truth, if you have my wife on here one day, then she can share her truth. But my truth is that it was challenging because we had 3 kids.
Yeah.
We have 3 kids. And so, to take people back, I came into the marriage with my son. She came into the marriage with her son. We don't do step. We don't do none of that. But I'm giving context right now, right? So we both came into the marriage in 2008 with our own kids.
Yeah.
And then in 2010, we had our daughter together.
Okay.
So it was challenging because now we're splitting up a home. Splitting up the boys, splitting up our daughter. So now our daughter stays with her. And will come see me, as often as I wanted her. The crazy part is, even though it was a challenge, in a sense, it was also one of the, from me coaching men and talking about these things and coaching men who are thinking about a divorce or going through one on the other side of it, this was like the most dopest and easiest process, even though it was challenging because we weren't mad at each other.
Yeah.
Through the process. We weren't arguing. It wasn't like, oh, well, you can't see your daughter. Nah, we went back to being the friends that we were in 2007.
Wow.
That's what happened.
The base and foundation of relationships.
We went back to being friends. And even in the beginning of, our separation and going into our divorce, it was like, there were conversations where maybe we should have just stayed friends because we did great at that.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that led to us even getting married. You know what I'm talking about? Like, and I don't think I've ever said this publicly, but this is a great time to articulate it, is that we were both in church together. Mm-hmm. We were both youth leaders. I was over the young men. She was over the young ladies. And in the church that we went to, the leadership was saying, you all need to get married. You all would be a power couple. We fresh into the faith. We fresh into church. And so when you hear that from those who are leading you and those that you trust, you feel like, oh, they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. And we rushed into marriage without having the conversations, without getting to know each other, without finding out what I like and dislike and what she likes and dislikes and what were non-negotiables and what we wouldn't compromise on. We just got married.
Yeah.
And you've seen that unhealthiness play out for 5-6 years. Right. And so when we got divorced, it was like we were back to the two people that just enjoyed being around each other, enjoyed hanging out, enjoyed just laughing, you know what I mean? Yeah. And listening to music together. And so although it was challenging being apart from each other and being apart from our kids, our relationship was probably the strongest that it's ever been since 2007 and maybe even ever.
Yeah.
And that's what we began to build on. And I wasn't even going into it like, all right, we're divorced, but I'm going to work towards getting remarried. We weren't even thinking about getting remarried. We were just thinking about we're going to be the best parents. We're going to co-parent, and we're going to do what we can to have a healthy situation for all three of our kids. And we're going to grow individually and continue to bring ourselves together collectively as a family. And all of that ended up leading to us getting back, remarried. But that, again, that wasn't the destination. It was just the growing that we did along the process.
Who would have ever thought, you get divorced with your wife and then you guys get remarried?
Yeah.
I think that's a testament to patience, the process, and like I always said, the intentionality of the things. Because when you're intentional with your feelings, and now you're at a point to where, okay, I want to actually listen to what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying. Two different things.
Come on.
People listen, but they don't. No, they hear, but they don't listen. Right? Like it'd be like, I hear you. Or however you say it. Like for me, my thing is, as a man, right, I want to be heard and listen to at the same time.
Come on.
But a lot of people, they just sometimes, I said it backwards, they just hear things, but they're not listening.
Yeah.
Right? And like, I kind of hear you, but I'm not listening. I think you have to do both to make it be meaningful.
Bruh.
Because I can listen and not hear.
Come on.
But I can hear, also not listen, and then it defeats the purpose. So like I tell Dom all the time, I'm like, all I need you to say sometimes, if I'm talking, expressing how I feel, don't cut me off. Just say, I hear you. That's all you need to hear. Because I feel like a man wants to be heard by his woman. He don't want to be cut off and hear her opinions about what he's saying. At the end of the day, we might not even want a response. I might, like for me, I don't even want a response. Sometimes I'd be talking and I'd be like, I hear you, babe. Like that's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear, well, X, Y, and Z. Like, no, I just want you to say, I hear you. I'm listening.
Hey,
right?
So you already know, like, this is my bag right here.
Yeah,
right?
okay, yeah. Get at me. Exactly why I brought it up.
This is my bag right
I'm intentional with what I'm talking about. Come on, man.
So for those that don't know, along with me being an author, a speaker, professional communicator, I'm also an effective communication strategist. So I help people elevate their communication so they can dominate personally and professionally.
Yes.
So that's all I do. So hearing you say that, one, excites me. It excites me. But number two, you said something very, very critical. You said you informed her that sometimes all you need is I hear you.
I hear you. That
is called effective communication. When we can communicate about a situation that may come up in advance, bruh, that's the preventative work that we should all be doing, because that means if we do the prevention, there's less intervention. Now we're not arguing in the midst of something because you've already communicated.
Yeah.
Babe, I don't need you to cut me off. I just need you to say, I hear you.
That's it.
Boom. So now when that happens and when those times come, she knows exactly what you need from her.
In that moment.
Wow. Now you all are communicating effectively. No friction, no frustration.
Yeah.
Just understanding. And that's the difference, right? Some people are like, oh, Dwight, everybody communicates. I'm like, you're right. But not everybody communicates effectively. we all communicate. We all share ideas, share knowledge, share information, but we don't all communicate effectively. What you're talking about is effective communication, when we can truly articulate what we need. There's days where I'll go to my wife and, I'll be talking about something and then she'll start talking. And before she gets really into it, I'll say, hey, are you looking for a response from me, advice from me, or just to listen? And based on what she gives me is what I give her. Wow. I talk about responding well.
Yeah.
In order for me to respond well, I got to know what I'm responding to. So I'm asking her. I didn't do this in 2008 to 2013, but I do it now. I say, what do you need from me in this moment? Baby, I just need you to listen. Cool. What do you need from me in this moment? I need your advice. So now I'm listening intently to then be able to give advice, right? I need some encouragement. Cool. I'm not giving you advice. I'm not just listening. Now I'm thinking about, okay, with what you just said, what encouragement can I give you?
Wow.
That's how we need to be communicating in every relationship.
Wow. And that's big, because in all of our meetings, you'll literally ask me, or sometimes you might be like, well, what are you feeling in this moment? Like, do you need this and do you need that? I've never thought of it that way, because one thing for me, going back, let's say 3 years ago, when I was in the best headspace for a relationship, or 2-3 years ago, right? I would always ask myself, like, why is the communication aspect lacking? And I think it was me. I expected something without explaining it. So
that's a bar.
Double E. Goodness gracious, I might get that
bar.
tatted. I was expecting some before explaining it. Without explaining it.
On.
Meaning that I would expect her to react a certain way to what I'm saying or doing without even telling her, okay, this is what I need from in this moment. And she's always good at that. She'll tell me, like, hey, I need X, Y, and Z in this moment, and now it's up to me to act on that. And if I fumble it, I fumble it. Which, hey, we're not perfect. Sometimes I fumble the bag. But I have a big pride aspect of things. I think pride is one of the most scariest things too, because you can control it, but sometimes your pride will get in the way, and that can ruin a relationship, like almost immediately. Yeah. Even friendship. Not even just with women, or if you're a woman with man, like. I feel like it's a two-way street in any relationship you're in. Pride is one of the most heaviest, and what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know the word for it.
So look, let me acknowledge that. Yeah. Right? Because that's also part of communication, is just acknowledging, even if I don't agree. Right? Like, I talk to my wife about that all the time. Sometimes she acknowledges me, but doesn't agree. And that's okay. Okay. So I want to acknowledge what you said, but I want to give you another side of that. Okay. You said pride is, and you were trying to come up with a word, right? Yeah. You was frowning because your facial expression was communicating that it wasn't joyful. It wasn't exciting. Right? You was communicating with your face, even if your mouth wasn't. Yeah. But it all depends on the context. Yeah. And it all depends on how we define it. Okay. Right? I tell people, define everything. Like, don't leave anything undefined. Right? If we can define something, and then put it in the context, it might be different. You are saying, and I know what you're saying because I know you, and your listeners and your viewers know what you're saying. But for someone who may not, you're saying pride is distasteful. Pride is this, that, and other. That's in one context. But the other part is, man, when people talk about you, I'm proud.
Oh, that's a different side of proud.
You dig what I'm saying?
Pride, yeah,
when it comes to my family, I got pride in my family. My grandfather is about to be 82 years old. My grandmother, you know what I'm saying, is in her late 70s. I got another grandmother on my mother's side. They poured everything into me. I'm prideful when I talk about them. I don't even start a speaking engagement without mentioning them. Why? Because I'm full of pride. So in one aspect, yes, pride could be your downfall.
I thought
in another aspect, pride could be the thing that uplifts others.
I never thought about that. So it makes sense now. People say I have pride in my last name.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy. So then that gets me thinking of there's two sides to every word.
It's context.
Right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I never thought of it that way, that you could also have pride in terms of the positive aspect of it.
Peep this, right? So people used to, when I was in high school, right? When I was in high school, I used to be a hustler. So I was selling everything, right? Everything to make $1. Like, that's what I was doing because people used to say, you got the gift of gab, or you have the gift to speak in such a way that you can influence. And people would say, Dwight, you're always manipulating people, right? You're always manipulating people. You're always trying to get what you want out of them. And there was a time where I believed that I was a manipulator, right? In that sense. And then when I got older and I started becoming an expert in this space of communication, I looked up the definition for manipulation. And I was like, oh, this is what it is?
Yeah.
Then yes, I am that. I know how to maneuver things around. But people were using it in a context that was negative, where if I manipulate this microphone, if it's giving bad feedback and I manipulate it to a way where people can hear me clearly, then it's a great thing.
Yeah.
So it all just depends on how we're using the words that we're using to convey the message that we're trying to get across.
That's crazy because you always think manipulation. He's a manipulator.
Right.
There's such a negative connotation on it. And I had one of my boys, Zeb, who was on a podcast a couple weeks ago, talked about shame being good and how people always talk about shame in a negative sense. And he was saying, like, we shame, like, pedophiles and people who do bad things, stuff like that. But there's two sides to every. Yeah. But it was interesting to hear that because now you're saying stuff like there's two sides of pride, of I just forgot the word you just said. Manipulation. Yeah. And it goes to show that at the end of the day, this is just my personal opinion, people are going to want to make of what they, how do I want to say this? They're going to see something how they see it. So if they see something a certain way, they're going to tell you that, and there's no change in their mind. Yeah. And that's what I've learned in this business. Content creation is you cannot, I know it's a cliche saying, you can't please everybody. And I was watching actually a podcast episode, rewatching one on The Pivot with Michael Beasley. And they were telling him, like, yo, you know, like, you always been a real one. He's like, nah, he's like, I'm not a real one. He's like, I'm just me. He said, because being a real one to some person may be fake to another person. So he said, I'm done pleasing people. I'm just me. Yeah. So I thought about it. I was like, dang, everyone always want to claim to be a real one, a real this, a real that. But then I'm like, at some point, you might not be real to somebody.
Come on. But
one thing that is 100% true is if you're you, you're you.
Come on.
Regardless of whoever it is. Like, I'm me. Regardless if you think I'm real or fake, I'm still me. There's no fine line between that. But when you say you're real, people can say you fake. But when you say you're me, what are you gonna say? I'm not me. My birth certificate say I'm me. What you mean? Unless I'm I got jumbled up in the when I was born with somebody else's name, right? So I think it's big for people to understand that it goes beyond being real, being fake. It's just being you. Yeah. And one thing to elaborate on that was I've learned that about you, that you're just you, right? No matter if people think you're real, you're fake. And although you're you made something real out of it. Real manhood 101, right?
Come on.
I was a part of the barbershop talk. Well, was it your second year?
It was in my second or third year.
Second or third year, right? And I remember going into it. I was in a different mindset this time. I was still very good at receiving and a receptor. But I remember this one thing, and it kind of, to this day, eats at me. I've never told you this, so you better hear something I never told you. Before we got there, I remember you told me, like, hey, if you can get there early, chop it up with the kids, that'd be cool. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, bet. And then I'm talking to myself in my head. I'm like, this might sound crazy, but this is me just talking, y'all, how I've grown in times like this is back in 2018, I believe.
2018.
Right? And he tells me to pull up early to chop it up with the kids. And I'm like, okay, cool. In my head, I'm like, man, like I'm on a certain stature. I'm gonna just pull up to the talk, and then that's the only time they're gonna be able to see me, right? So I was thinking of I'm bigger and better than the situation at hand without even noticing it. So I talked to the kids on the stage. Like I walk. I remember there's a big old line of kids. Yo, Marcellus, yo. I'm like, yo, what's up? I'll talk to y'all later. I go right to the back to the green room. Yeah. And fast forwarding to today. If I was able to do that today, because you got to think, 4 years ago, I'm 22 years old. I'm still fresh out of college. Yeah. Mindset's not all the way there. Now I'm 26. If I had the opportunity again today, I'm going to talk to each and every kid. Right. Like, why was I such, I don't even know how to even explain. Like, why was I thinking like that? Like, they're going to be able to see me, but only on the stage, like being unavailable, right? And I'm like, that's not what I would want to see if I was a kid. I would want to be able to talk to my favorite creator, favorite NBA player in person. Yeah. So if I could redo it, I would have got there early and really been involved in everything. Right. But that's just a growing process.
Right. Go ahead. And the crazy part is it goes back to your list. Your values were something else at that moment. Totally different. Your values determined how you acted in that moment. Yeah. Where now you have a different opportunity. Your values that you stand on, that you believe in, they're going to play out in how you act.
And I even said on a past podcast, I said my core values will always remain, but I said you can always add.
Come on.
And sometimes you might subtract to add something else.
1,000%.
Right? So like I said, the 2 things on there that will never change.
Yeah.
Or the 4, I mean, those 5 would never change for me.
Yeah.
Or 4, outside the justice system, whatever.
Right.
But like the spirituality, integrity,
Yeah.
and just respect. Like those 3 for sure will never change.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you need those 3 to be a solid human being.
Mm.
But thinking about that was eating away at me because I'm like, after that opportunity, the next year I didn't do the barbershop talk. We did the YouTube workshop.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
even then, I was more intentional to have conversation with kids. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm working on that.
Yeah.
And then 2020, when we're about to do another one,
Yeah.
I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
COVID hit. So I remember I sat right here.
Yep.
I sent you a video, I think, with a green
Yeah.
screen behind me
Yep.
because I didn't have that much furniture.
I
And
actually interviewed you.
right.
That's what I
Interview
did.
me,
Yeah,
and we did a
interviewed you.
video.
Yeah, man.
Now I'm interviewing him crazy. We did a video, and then now you posted it as the online
Yeah.
portion of it.
Yeah.
So it's like if I ever get another opportunity to do that, I will make sure to be more intentional with impacting kids' lives.
Yeah. Well, it's going up. 2023. We back at Sac State.
Can I get a?
You already invited.
Come on, man.
You already invited without knowing. I voluntold you. You know what I'm saying? I voluntold you. So yeah, we back on with Real Manhood. I spoke with Sac State recently, and so we've been virtual for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had it 4 years at Sac State, then virtual for 3.
Yep.
And so this will be our first year back. And the crazy thing for me, I'm big on numbers.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be our 8th year.
Yep.
If you can see the shirt, you can see the books. I got the 8 on there. Dominate. Right. And so I'm excited about this year for being back in person, to have an opportunity to connect with these young men and just empower them to be real men and surround them with people like yourself.
Yeah.
Because let me go back real quick. Even though you now can look back and see what happened on that day, right? And what you have grown from.
100%.
You killed it on stage. Like, you killed it, bro. Like, the kids, they seen you in one way when you came in as YouTuber, creator, millions of all that.
Yeah.
But they walked away seeing themselves in you.
Mm.
That's different.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. They seen something, man, that's attainable.
Yeah.
Oh, he went through stuff like I went through stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not just this person who's so far away. So even if the beginning of how you came in didn't suit you, as you look back, how you ended it, bruh, is different. And that's why I tell people, you know, you can start a certain way, but you can always finish a different way.
That's fact.
You just got to be intentional.
It's crazy you say that, because after that, that I don't know what you call it, a conference or just that talk segment, you told me, like, man, you have a future in this talking business, right? And I'm sitting there like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But in my head, I'm like, I got to get back to these backyard challenges videos, right? Being kind of one-dimensional. And don't get me wrong, I was always growing with the content, growing with the times. But I never really tapped into my intellectual side of doing podcasts and talking down, sitting down, talking to people. And like you said, I'm interviewing the person who's interviewed me for 1,000 years, it feels like, right? And I feel like that's a pure sign of growth, pure sign of learning, being able to sit there and actually learn about the hard stuff, the good stuff you don't want to hear. Because a lot of times he's told me stuff I don't want to hear, right? Or don't want to work on. But a lot of people do that because they want to be comfortable in the situation. But once you challenge yourself and you feel uncomfortable in a situation, that's where that's where the natural growth is at. So he's always challenged me to, here's one thing I'm going to say this about you, is because when I come to you or we talk about a certain thing, and sometimes I go into it like, oh, he's going to be proud at this moment. Like, oh, yeah, I'm about to tell him about this. And he's going to be like, oh, yeah, for sure. But one thing you've always done is, oh, yeah, for sure. What's next?
Right.
Like, what do you now about to, so not saying bump what you just said, but he's saying, okay, with that, what are you going to do with that? Right. So for me, it was like when I did the speech or the speaking or the YouTube workshop, he's okay. How are you going to elaborate on that? Like, what are you going to do? How are you going to use that to go into your next part?
Yeah, man.
And I've always thought about that. I'm like, now with this podcast, right? It's like, what are you going to do with this to help move to your next part in life? Because you can't get stagnant. Come on. Right? It's okay to acknowledge something and be in that moment, but you can't get stagnant in terms of where you just sit here and just be, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life and not elaborate, not get creative and do anything different. So with this, what we talked about before off camera, so I'm not going to say, because I'm not going to put all my eggs, I'm not going to count my eggs for the hatch. But it's like, I'm using that to now go into that.
Come on, man.
And I feel like a lot of people out there, if you could just listen to what I'm saying, man, hear and listen to what I'm saying, is when you reach and obtain a goal, celebrate it for sure, which something I haven't done. I'm a terrible celebrator. I'm still working on it. Celebrate that goal for however long you think you need to celebrate it for, but then use that goal for the next one.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Bro, let me say this, right? I'll start with the celebration, then we'll go back to the not being stagnant. We have to celebrate our wins so we can set ourselves up to celebrate again.
Woo, that's a bar right there.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we have to literally intentionally make time to celebrate the wins.
Yeah.
Because you and I are both people who can just do something that we've wanted to do, that we've worked hard for, blood, sweat, and tears, then we get it done, and now we on to the next.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm even learning to take a moment and celebrate and be intentional about what I want that celebration to be so it can be marked down as a moment or a milestone and I can look back on. Right? So anytime, whoever's listening, make sure that you celebrate your wins so you can set yourself up to celebrate again, because when we win, we like that feeling.
Hell yeah.
Right?
Come on now.
We win our first game of the season. We trying to get that feeling again and win our second game. And so we set ourselves up to do that. Going back to the part about me saying what's next, that came from my grandparents, and that came from a few mentors I had who seen something in me that I couldn't even see in myself. So they were always trying to stretch me.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you're an athlete.
Yeah.
You work out, you stretching your muscles.
Yeah.
That's not to hurt you. That's to actually help grow you and make you better. And so I would see things in you that I don't know if you could see in yourself. So I'm like, dope.
Yeah.
But what's next? How you going to continue to stretch yourself? Because there's so much more in you. And I'm a firm believer that we should live full but die empty.
Woo.
Right?
No U-Hauls.
There should be nothing else left in us when it's our time to go. So you doing this podcast, you doing all the phenomenal amazing, and that's just phenomenal
amazing. Come on, come on. They don't know that though.
They don't know it. But all the other things that you're going to end up doing, that's your opportunity to continue to leave this earth empty. And we leave the earth empty by continuing to just pour out. Wow. We get to pour out.
Yeah.
We get to pour out, but we get to pour out.
Yeah.
And so, man, stretch yourself. Like anybody watching this, stretch yourself so you don't make yourself stagnant, because being stagnant means that you are not becoming the best version of yourself.
Wow. I know we might be getting long-winded on this topic here, but it's so much to dive into. So I want to talk about this about a few more points before we go into the next subject or topic. You said something about winning, right? Is such a great feeling. And I even challenge myself sometimes to think deeper, right? Because I've won and I've lost a ton, whether it be in sports, whether it be in life with decisions. And one thing that's so scary about winning so much, this is my personal opinion, is that sometimes you forget how to lose and what that feeling is like. So then you get so high, when that loss comes, you get so low, right? But what I challenge people when they win, celebrate it, be happy. Don't ever get too high, because at some point in time, there's going to be a challenge to where you don't get what you want, but you got to remain even keel, because you can't let yourself alter to, you know what I mean? You got to be right in that middle. So with this 1 million subscriber plaque, when I hit the 1 million subscriber plaque, true story, you were at the alumni award as he was at the table. It was only 10 people, I think, and you were one of the 10 people. Yeah, he was at the table, and I remember going into that award, we're supposed to give a speech, right? So I'm seeing people go up, and I'm like, oh, they got like notes, and I'm like, oh, this is serious. I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go in there and wing it. I'm like, damn. Right. So they called my name, show my video, whatever. Yeah. And that was the day of I hit 1 million subscribers. I'll never forget, October 10th, I think, 2019. And I go up on that stage, and one thing I've learned going to Capital Christian in my communication class, I was a communication major, is if you have nothing written down, always start it off with the question. So I don't know if you remember the first question I asked, I have this on video still, was, I was like, how's everybody doing today? You guys look amazing. You guys look beautiful. And that was because I was intentional of, I'm going to get them engaged.
100%.
Tell them a compliment about themselves. So they're like, okay, I like this. What's the young man got to say, right? And then after I said that, I kid you not, I don't remember anything I said. That was just God. I said those initial statements, and then I said, wow, well, anything else I said, I was like, wait, what did I even say? So I watched it back. Well, I said that. And I'm saying that to say this. In that moment, I didn't realize the magnitude of what I was doing and what I have just done. I just surpassed 1 million subscribers.
Come on.
Right? And I was laying down in bed the night it happened, and I woke up. Dawn wakes me up. She's like, Sal, at like 2 or 3 a.m., you should have 1 million subscribers. And I was like, oh, snap, that's dope. Like, for sure. And then I went back to sleep.
Yeah.
I woke up the next morning. I was like, that's cool. Now what's next? I'm already on that, so I didn't get to celebrate it. So she threw me a surprise 1 million subscriber party. And in that moment, I said, okay, it might sound crazy. In that moment, I said, dude, I surpassed 1 million subscribers. Like, I'm sitting there now, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to celebrate it. But I said, it's bigger than this right now. This is a surprise party for me. These people came all over town from different areas to celebrate me. So I got up there and I gave a speech. I spoke. Like a 9-minute speech. It's about like 9 minutes, 30 seconds. I forgot. It might be around there.
Yeah.
And instead of, man, I'm so thankful because like I've done all this work and all that, I celebrated the people.
Come on.
So I went through the room and named every single person and told them like how they impacted my life, how they impacted my journey, and how they've helped me become who I am.
Yeah.
In that moment, that's also a way of celebrating.
Come on.
That was my way of celebrating because I'm a big person of reflecting instead of.
Let's go.
I don't like to take, I need all the compliments. No, I want to give all the compliments. Like you're saying, pour out to people. So I'm telling people, hey, yo, Noble, man, I look up to you even though you 10 years younger than me, whatever. Or I'm talking to Trio, Zay and them, like y'all help inspire me to reach a new level, new heights. I'm talking to my mom, my girl, Mr. and Miss Hunter, who let me borrow their backyard. You know what I'm saying? So I'm naming everybody. Marvin Bagley was up and now talking to Marvin, his brother. And it was just like, dude, a lot of people would take this moment and say, it's about me.
Right.
And I've always been a person, I hate that. I love giving better than receiving. I'm a giver than the gift receiver.
Yeah.
So that for me was a big moment of like, I realized, you don't always have to celebrate yourself in a win. You can celebrate others in that win, but just celebrate something.
Come on. And 1, it was a monumental moment.
Very monumental for sure.
2, the fact, so I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
I'm finding this out in real time with everybody else. What was the word that I said before we started? Do you remember?
Gratitude.
Come on.
Come on. Yeah.
That's what you're talking about, right? You're grateful for the people who've been supporting you, who've been with you along the way. And my grandfather told me a long time ago, gratitude is the greatest attitude.
Woo. Heard that.
Right? In order to be great, we must be grateful. So you decided that I'm going to make this moment about showing other people how grateful I am for them. Here's what I do know. Every person you name probably remembers that moment and probably will remember that moment for the rest of their life. Yeah. You could have went in there and said some other stuff that probably would have sounded good, but not everything that sounds good is good.
Come on. Value versus venom.
Right? But when you lead with gratitude, when you lead with gratefulness, it elevates not just the conversation, but it elevates the people that you're having the conversation with. That's right. And so just to hear you say that, like that's high level communication right there. Man. That's true effective communication. And man, it just does my heart well to hear that story. So I appreciate you sharing that, bro.
Yeah, that's no one really knows that story. And then it goes to show like when that happened. So now I'm at like 1.3 million subs and it's been almost 3 years. And like the growth hasn't been there because I've been focusing on the reaction channel, the podcast, but it's just like my thing is I've always said this, like bump the numbers, right? Bump the million, bump the 2 million, whatever. Like I said, as long as I'm joyful about what I'm doing and I'm passionate, I can care less about that. Because as long as I have a fan base who's loyal, whether it be 1 million, 10,000, 1,000, as long as I know I have a certain amount who are going to rock with me with whatever I do, that's really all that matters. And people get so caught up into, I got to do this amount of numbers and get this amount of subscribers. I'm like, for what? Most of these people, 99% of these people you never going to meet. So I'm like, why do you care so much about them clicking the follow button? And I'm big on supporting. Like, you don't follow me, support me. I support you. Because to be a follower, you got to be a believer. Wow. Right? So I'm like, I hate using a follower term. I like being, you know what? You guys are my supporters, family, whatever you want to call it. But I feel like there has to be a different connotation of following because I hate saying that being a believer and hate's a strong word. But yeah, it's just a lot of self-reflecting, man. And going into this next topic of self-reflecting. Yeah. Right? I've done a lot of self-reflecting in the past, and one thing that always came up when I did self-reflect was patience, right?
Yeah.
So you talked about enjoying the process, and I want to kind of talk about the patience aspect of it. When you became a life coach, health coach, a life coach, a effective communication coach,
Yeah.
what was the patient process like? Because I know that's not overnight either, and people need to understand that not everything happens.
Come on.
Especially in this TikTok and social media era.
Yeah.
They always want to see the quick result, not the long result.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk about patience in that process.
Yeah. That's a great question. Bro, you've been asking great questions. I just want to highlight that.
Appreciate
you dig what I'm saying? Like they don't know. I've got to watch you grow.
Yeah.
I've got to watch you evolve, and you asking dope questions, which is why you're doing this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, dope. Dominate on purpose every day. Sorry.
Man.
Come on, I got that from
Bruh.
you. Okay,
we ain't even gonna go there. Because you're gonna turn me into a whole different monster on here. I had an album 2011. Go look it up. Dominate on purpose every day. Anyway, so when it comes to patience, especially when it comes to me being an effective communication coach and a transformational coach, the patience really kicks in when it comes to working with other people. Like in order for me to serve people, because that's what I'm really doing. I'm not just working with you. I'm serving you.
Yes.
In order to serve people at the highest level, at my highest capacity, I have to be patient enough to get to know you.
Yes.
I have to be patient enough to understand you. I have to be patient enough to, even when I disagree, still acknowledge what you said, how you said it, and who you are.
Wow.
So patience plays a humongous role. Patience plays a role in just being present.
Yeah.
And I was telling my daughter the other day, my daughter, most phenomenal, amazing little girl in the world, getting ready to be in the 7th grade.
Wow.
And crazy, right?
What?
I was telling her, I said, in order to be an effective communicator, you have to be present. You have to be. Because if you're not present, then you don't know how to respond well to the situation. And how can I communicate effectively with you if I'm not in this moment with you? If I'm thinking about what I need to do later on, if I'm thinking about what I need to do next week, I can't see your facial expressions. I can't hear the things that you're saying. Or I might be able to hear them. I might be able to see your facial expression, but I'm not really listening for your tone. Wow. I'm not watching your body language. If I'm so wrapped up in what I'm doing because I'm being impatient and trying to get to where I'm going, I miss out on this communication opportunity.
Yes.
And most people mishandle, I like to say fumble, opportunities to serve because we're not being observant. So I say observe to serve, and that comes from practicing patience. Now, have I always been patient? Hell no. Not at all.
Yeah, honey.
I want it. You dig what I'm saying? Like, I want it right now. I want it when I want it, how I want it, from who I want, all that. Like, I want that. But at the same time, I know that in order for me to be my best version of me, patience has to play a huge role.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a book, that I ascribe to called the Bible. And in there it says, let patience have her perfect work. And if we can be patient, then we can be present. And if we can be present, then we can serve people. And if we can serve people, then not only can we have an influence in their life, hopefully a positive one, but we can also make an impact that will carry on.
Wow. Like you said, I've been asked some good questions, but the answers have been top tier. So, and that's one thing too. When you can have a conversation with somebody, right? This is a genuine conversation.
Yeah.
It happens to be recorded.
Yeah.
When you can have a genuine conversation with somebody and you can understand how they move and why they move, and you understand the aspects of like that make them go, right? For you, I've noticed like I'm big on observing things people are passionate about. Although whatever you talk about, you're passionate about, right? Because you're just a passionate person. But when you talk about patience, I feel like patience is somewhat of the foundation for a lot of things in this world. For example, when you're trying to grow a brand, you have to be patient, right? And I'll even go one step further. When you have a brand or content, like like you're a creator or you're a music person, say your first ever video, first ever music does 1 million streams, 1 million views. You still have to be patient. Because I guarantee it's not going to always do that every single drop. So everybody gets so used to and accustomed to, oh, this is a quick process. This is easy, right? You still got to be patient and weigh out the lows and the highs, because at some point in time, whatever goes up has to come down. It has to balance out. The stock market goes up, but it'll correct itself. It's like clockwork.
Bruh.
So not to cut you off.
Yeah.
To kind of elaborate on that is just saying like people have to be patient in all aspects of life.
Come on. We talked about me having 4 songs on ESPN Sports Center.
Yes.
That was a high for me.
I bet.
One of the highs for me.
Yeah.
Outside of that, the other high musically was having Steph Curry warm up to my song One Way Turn
Come
Up
on.
2 years in a row.
Come on.
You dig what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that was another one. But ESPN Sports Center was a high for me. I told you why. That happened when I was 32. Bro, I told you I started rapping at 5. That's 27 years. 27 years. Not even knowing that day was going to even come.
Yeah.
But every day, I'm getting better in my craft. I'm working. I'm grinding. And here's the thing. For me, patience doesn't mean that I'm stagnant.
Yes.
Patience just means that, hey, until the thing happens, I'm going to continue to work.
Continue to work.
Right? Like when women, and I'm not a woman, so if I say it wrong, then, go ahead and bash me in the comments and we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
But when my wife had our kids, she knew that months later, our child was coming. But each day leading up, she had to practice patience because our child, thankfully, wasn't going to come or after a month or after 2 months. So she had to practice patience. But in that, we were still doing the work. She was preparing herself. We was getting diapers. We was doing things in the midst of this thing happening. And so as we think about patience, one, let's make sure we define it. Let's make sure we define it for ourselves in every aspect of our life. But going back to what you said, man, patience is the foundation of most things that are great and most things that are worth having.
100%.
If not everything that's worth having.
I think everything,
right?
Because everything, like they always say, nothing worth having is easy.
Come on.
And that takes patience. And kind of last note on that is when you, this is what I experienced in my journey of growing patience, because I used to be a person who was a impulsive actor. Didn't really think of the process of my actions and what will come after it.
Come on.
Right? So the older I get, the more I realize that patience is like one of the most beautiful things. If you can display patience in a hostile situation, and there's no better feeling. If a situation is getting hostile, you could just sit there and just shrug it off and build that patience for it. There's no better feeling because now I am in control of my emotions. That is the moment I realized I'm in control of my emotions, man, and I'm still working on it. Like I get into that competitive, we're athletes.
Yeah.
It's natural competitive juices that are in us to this day. I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect, but what I will say is this: I'm definitely perfectly practicing patience every day, whatever that looks like for you.
Right.
But for me, that's just working on being a better boyfriend, a better son, a better brother, better friend every day, right? And I talked to Will Conroy from Washington, not to get too long-winded. I asked him, I was like, man, what's some advice for people who are working to become better at something? He said, I tell my son this every day. His son is 11 years old, by the way, one of the coldest 11 years I've ever seen in my life, Will Conroy Jr. He goes, I tell my son every day, we're going to get in the gym and we're going to work on one thing and become better at one thing every day. If you can become better at one thing every day, you will never be stagnant. Just one thing. Pick one thing to be better at every day. Whether it be, I'm going to be a better stretcher today. I'm going to be a better runner, a better speaker, a better sleeper, a better listener. One thing every day. If you do that for the rest of your life, you'll never be stagnant because you'll always be learning.
That's good right there.
But
that's good right there.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know. Was God speaking to me right now? I'm flowing.
Hey, you talking. You talking. And again, it's coming from, bro, it's in you.
Yeah.
Not just on you.
Man.
It's in you. It's in you. And I'm grateful that, again, going back to you having this podcast, for people to see the other side of you.
Yeah.
There's multiple sides of you, but to see the other side of you, for people to hear not just your intellect, but also hear your heart. That's what people connect to.
Yes.
People connect to the heart, right? And connection is the greatest thing that we can have with people. And so I know for a fact that when people listen to this episode, not all the other episodes, they're going to hear your heart.
Yeah.
And your heart is what is going to help them transform their own life and be able to then share their heart. Because what happens when I'm somebody who looks up to Marcellus, which I am, you dig what I'm saying? It don't matter. Age don't matter.
Yeah, fact.
Right? And I hear your heart, then I'm like, oh, shoot. I don't got to just talk about money and popularity and all this. I can really come from the heart. I can really express what I'm feeling internally in a safe space. Oh, if Marcellus can do it, I can do it. And not only can I do it, but I can do it better because I can reach out to Marcellus and say, how you do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Help me with that.
Yeah.
Help me become more transparent. Help me become more intentional about sharing my heart. And so it's just dope for me to sit on this side of it and be able to hear you and witness in real time the growth, the evolution, and like I like to say it is the transformation, man. So
yeah. I'm big on that now, just going through life and experiences. And I think one of the most important things that you said was the main reason why I started this podcast is because when I'm long gone one day, I want to have gems and episodes or whatever you want to call it of me sharing my heart, pouring out my stories, and just trying to relate to people out there who are going through the same things I've been through or going through something currently in that moment. And these videos and this podcast will live forever when I'm gone. Forever when I'm gone. So this is the main part about it, is just to give people more a piece of you and dive deeper into that.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to dive deeper in a little bit. So you have two books.
Yeah.
Right here. Dominate Your Day, and then the other one is
So one is Dominate Your Day,
Dominate Your
100
Day.
empowering statements. The other one is Dominate Your Day, 30 empowering statements. The 30 empowering statements is for students.
yes.
Yeah.
So I need an empowering statement from both, just one from both, from the students, and then one from.
So from the student one, the one I like to share with students is every decision matters. Period.
Ain't that the truth?
Not a few, not two, not three or four. Every decision matters, because every decision made for us and every decision made by us has landed us right where we are today.
Woo!
Facts.
Woo, that's a fact.
Nobody can disagree. If you're watching this, which you are on YouTube, right? The decisions that were made for you by somebody else who made them, or the decisions made by you, landed you in front of us. Literally. So if that's the case, and if I were to ask you out there watching this, are you where you desire to be? Have you reached your full potential? Have you given all you can give? Have you served as much as you can serve? Most people would say, no, I still have more to give. I still have more people to serve. So if that's the case, and we know that our decisions led us here, then the next question would be, what different decisions will we need to make in order to become that person who can do those things?
Ooh-wee.
Right?
They're not hearing you or listening right now. I don't think they're listening.
So every decision matters. So that's the one out of the student edition. And as you know, man, I work with students every single day. I work with parents. I work with school districts and teachers. And it's the decision making that usually gets me called in, because our students are not making best decisions. Like I wasn't making best decisions when I was in high school. So that's the one from there. The one from my book for adults is forgiveness is given to the forgiven as well as the forgiver.
Forgiveness is
given
to the forgiven, but forgiveness is for the giver.
So let me go back.
Yeah, okay, hold on.
All right.
Okay.
So
yeah, wow.
And I think I messed it up myself.
You good.
Forgiveness gives freedom to the forgiver as well as the forgiven. So I'm gonna say that again.
Wow.
Forgiveness gives freedom to the forgiver, as well as the forgiven. So when I forgive, right? I grew up and life was a little bit difficult. At one point, my parents weren't in my life as much as I needed them to be. Shout out to them now, because we locked in. But when I made a decision to forgive them, not only did it free them up, but it also freed me. So forgiveness gives freedom to the forgiver.
Yeah.
And those who are being forgiven.
Is that because you forgive like the grudges or the past trauma experiences, or you're just forgiving everything?
Well, for me, when I forgive someone, right, I may still remember, but I forgive them because I've got to understand them. Empathy comes in, right? When you can apply empathy to a situation, that means, Marcellus, I want to sit here and take time with understanding your thought process. When you made this decision, what were you thinking? Where were you at? What even led to that decision? What was defining your values at that moment?
Yeah.
Right? So then once I understand that, it makes it for me easier to forgive you for that situation. Now, am I saying that you're going to go out and forgive everyone for every situation? That's an individual perspective.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I forgave my parents because I understood that, the time when I really desired to have you in my life, you were only 19 years old.
Wow.
I remember what I was doing at 19.
Yeah.
I remember what I was doing at 20. I remember I was doing at 21. I had no business being a parent, even though at 20 I became one. And I remember that. So once I remembered that, I was more empathetic to my parents. Like, y'all was just being kids. That's not how it was given to me in that moment. It was just, maybe my parents don't care. Yeah. But once I got older and I showed empathy towards them and I got some understanding from them, I could then go, I definitely forgive you for that. It wasn't like you was being intentional and trying to do. And even if you were being intentional, I'm going to still forgive you because it does the other thing. It gives me freedom. I don't got to carry this. Yeah. Once I forgive you, I don't even have to carry it anymore. And the dope thing about forgiveness, and hopefully somebody who is needing to forgive someone, if that's someone else or themselves, here's this right now. When you forgive, when I say it gives you freedom, it's because most people who need to be forgiven, they're not even thinking about what you're going through.
Fact.
If somebody do me wrong today, they might just go on with their life and keep doing what they're doing. But I'm still harboring over it. I'm still holding on to it. I'm still dwelling in it. So it's really eating me up. I'm locked in. I'm confined. I'm in my own mental prison. Yeah. But once I decide to release them and release that forgiveness, then I can become free myself. So forgiveness gives freedom to the forgiven and the forgiver.
Man, I hope you guys listening and watching right now. I hope you guys are really being intentional with hearing what he's saying, because this is a lot of free game right here. Like Jay-Z said, I'm giving you $1 million worth of game for $9.99. This is free. This is literally free game that a lot of people make you pay for, and which he kind of does make you pay for, because you know what I'm saying, that's his job, right? So I'm like I said, I'm showing gratitude because I'm thankful that he's able to come on here and share a little bit of free game. Like I said, I'm not stupid. I understand the business side of things. I'm not going to sit here and have a 5-hour discussion and talk about any and everything, because at the end of the day, he still has to hold off some of it because that's part of his job. But he's giving out free game right now so y'all can tap in. Yeah. And yeah, so speaking of tapping in, I kind of want to tap into a lighthearted thing for about a couple minutes here. Yeah. Step away from this.
The other stuff wasn't lighthearted?
That was more intentional. This is going to be more mental. Trio. You didn't do your homework, did you?
Come on.
You didn't do your homework, did you?
Come on.
We're supposed to do it together. Well, I guess we're going to try to. Okay, so we got a couple things attached to mental.
Let's do it.
Capabilities.
Bruh, let's do it, because I seen somebody on here and
the pound of stone, and the pound of
who was that?
Jordan Ford, my boy.
Hey, so I don't know Jordan. Hey, I forgive you. See, I'm forgiving him. I forgive you because I was hurting for you, brother. You know what I'm saying? But you probably gonna have to forgive me for whatever I don't get either. But yeah, bro, that was hilarious.
No, that was OD, because I literally was saying a pound of cotton, a pound of stone. And he's like, "You're trying to trick me." I'm like, "No, I'm not. Honestly, not.
I'm trying to help you.
I'm really trying to help you right now." Okay,
let's go.
Let's try this. If 7 adults can eat 7 cupcakes in 1 minute, how long would it take 30 adults to eat 30 cupcakes?
If 7 adults can eat 7 cupcakes in 1 minute,
yep.
How long will it take for 30 adults
to eat 30 cupcakes?
Depends on how fast the adults is eating.
Nah, there's a set answer.
There's a set answer?
A set answer.
I mean, the other set answer would just be 1 minute.
So what's your final answer?
1 minute.
Damn it. 1 for 1.
Yeah.
1 for freaking 1.
I think I'm actually 2 for 2, because I don't know how fast Marcellus eats a cupcake.
Well, I'm vegan, so not a lot of cupcakes. Not a lot eat. Not a lot that I can't eat.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you build a fort, drive a Ford, and fill out a form, then what do you eat soup with?
A spoon.
Damn it.
I like the F's though. I'm big on that alliteration right there. Yeah.
Trill, we got to do better. I've told you. I know we got to do it together, but we got to separately bring, deli worker. All right, bet. Okay. A deli worker in a grocery store is described as being 6'1", wears a size 10 shoe, and wears a medium-sized shirt. What does a deli worker weigh?
Ask me that question one more time.
A deli worker in a grocery store is described as being 6'1", wears size 10 shoes, and wears a medium-sized shirt. What does a deli worker weigh?
What does the deli worker weigh?
Mm-hmm.
The meat?
Gosh, damn it. This is amazing.
Am I 3 for 3?
3 for 3. I think we stop it there.
I think
Trio.
I'm 3 for 3.
He's 3 for 3. On the bus driver going to get him if that's the case. Yeah,
I think I'm 3 for 3.
all right, I will shake your hand on that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm stumped.
Yeah, Jordan Ford, I'm coming for you.
I got to do better.
Yeah.
Speaking of doing better, actually, kind of leads to my next question.
Let's do it.
Now, jumping back into the motivational side of things. True, how are we on time over there? 1 hour 20. Oh, cool. We got a little bit.
Okay.
Are you cool on time right now? Okay, awesome.
It's a conversation. Bruh, this is actually shorter than our normal conversation.
Literally, we'll book an hour. We'll book an hour slot and be in there for 2 or 3 hours.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of doing better, I think a lot of people out here need to hear something like this. So my next question for you is, how do you do better, right? If you're already being better, because there's always room for improvement. People think of, I'm doing better, I'm doing good, but there's always room to grow. There's always going to, for example, the parallel of inflation. There's always going to be room for money to grow because of inflation, right? In terms of your faith, there's always room to grow your faith, and no matter who you are. So people always think, I'm doing a good deed, I'm being better, but you being better 30 years ago, oh my gosh, exponential, right? But right now, you being better requires more because you have to keep continuing to be better. So someone back in the 80s being better, their better will have to be something different today.
Yeah.
Because of the time. So how do you continue to be better while you're doing better?
First, you define what doing better even looks like to
For you. Yeah.
Yeah, right? I truly believe that we have to have defined metrics in order to measure our movement. Put the M's in there, 3 of them.
Come on, man.
Right?
Wow.
We have to have defined metrics to measure our movement, because I can say I want to do better tomorrow. That's vague.
Yeah.
What do I want to do better at? Do I want to do better at being a father? Do I want to do better at being a friend, a mentor, a coach, a trainer, a nephew, an uncle? What do I want to do better? And then once I define that, then I need to put some metrics to it and go, okay, how can I measure my doing better?
Wow.
Now, that's to answer your question. The question that I would ask somebody is, why do you even desire to do better? Like, let's just talk about that. Are you desiring to do better because you think that's what you should do? Are you desiring to do better because that's what you know you should do? Are you desiring to do better because somebody told you to do it? Let's start with the why.
Yeah.
Because once we know our why, we can usually find a way for every how that comes up.
Talk about it. Yes.
But we have to start with the why. Now, let me take you even deeper. Before we do better, the reality is, let's just work on being better.
Yes.
Because the doing will eventually come from the being. So if I'm just being a better husband, then I'm going to do the things that need to happen. And once I do the things, then I'll have the things. And once I have the things, then I can give the things. I'm going to rewind that. We got to be so we can do.
Yes.
So we can have.
Come on.
Then we can give. And we repeat that cycle in every area of our life. If that's my faith, if that's my family, if that's my finances, if that's my fitness goals, if that's the fun I want to have, if that's the future thinking I have, let's start with the being, because the doing will come from that.
Wow. Recently we have a tendency to say you are in your bag right now. You are deep in that Duffy. A lot of things you said, I feel like relates to a lot of things people go through and people do. And the reason, like I said, I'm intentional with everything I'm asking today.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that.
No, you on point.
I'm asking that because I want to read you something from my 5 values, and I want to show you that I'm doing better, right?
Yeah.
So I want to read something from. We can go either in, you pick integrity or you want the respect.
Integrity. I love integrity.
All right. So guys, listening out there, ladies and gentlemen, this is me writing 2 years ago. By the way. 24 years old. I say this. Integrity. This was second on my list because honesty and moral principles are very important in establishing who you are in the face of the world. Doing the right thing in life has become more important to me over the years. I no longer coexist with the thought of being cool because being cool is the quickest way to fall into temptation and failure. My main goal in life at an early age was to always be myself. Of course, there are times when my thought process gets in the way and I want to please everyone with the way I talk and look, but at the end of the day, I had to realize that life was bigger than me. Life is everything I leave behind for others to remember me by, and it has nothing to do with the money I made or the shoes I rock, but it has everything to do with the type of person you have grown to become. This is why integrity is such a big thing for me, because without integrity, you'll tend to fall for anything the false perceptions of the world lies in front of you. Now, relating that, right? Did I not just talk about so mind you, I haven't read this in 2 years.
Come on.
And I just talked about being wait, what did I say? I just talked about having nothing left behind when you leave this earth, right? Doesn't matter about the money you made, the shoes I rock, but that's everything to do with the type of person you've grown to become.
Come on.
Right? So I'm sitting here talking about me becoming things and growing and trying to overflow our cup and pour to others without even knowing I wrote that 2 years ago.
Come on.
That's something I want to be better at.
Come on.
Attention to detail, intention to action.
Yes.
Without even knowing.
Right.
That is so crazy because I asked you, what do you want me to read? Right. Integrity.
Right.
I probably can go down that list. I probably can read all 5 things and be like, dang, I'm actually working on that currently. Yeah. So I challenge you guys this. The reason why I brought that up is because today, August, what are we at? 11th, 2020, 2022, right?
Yeah.
I want you guys to write something down. Write one of your morals down or write why it's important to you and how you can get better at that. Come back to it a year from now, 2 years from now. Put it away, stow it away, come back to it years from now, right? I almost guarantee if you write something down, you'll be intentional with it because you're seeing it as you're writing it. And that was me because I didn't even know I was being intentional with it until I just read it.
Wow.
That is actually amazing. That's phenomenal amazing.
Phenomenal amazing. Phenomenal amazing.
Kind of just blew my mind a little bit.
As it should, though.
Yeah.
As it should. And here's what, I heard you stressing that you hadn't even read that. You didn't even know that. I haven't
read that.
The crazy thing is, you've been living it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to read something that I'm living.
Yeah. Come on.
Right? I'm just going to start being it.
Yeah.
And out of the being comes the doing.
Yes.
Which gives you, or then you have the joy and the peace that comes with that, which then gives you opportunity to do what you just did. You went through it, so now I'm giving you all who are watching this something for you to do. Mm-hmm. And that cycle just continues, man. So congratulations to you, brother.
Man, appreciate that. That's
growth, bro.
That's kind of crazy.
That's crazy.
What?
That's crazy.
Oh, man. Like you guys are seeing this in real time. My mind is absolutely blown right now. Because if you guys could see the amount of work and the headspace I was in 2-3 years ago to today, that's when I reached out. I said, I need a mentor. Yeah. I need someone who can be of a therapy figure to me. And when I talk to you, I feel like I'm in therapy because, they always say go to therapists because you don't know them, they can't judge you. But I question and take it one step further. I want to go to somebody who I can trust to judge me. Yeah. In the respectful way. Right. Although we're people of God and we're not meant to judge, but I go to someone looking for, in a sense of like, okay, how can I say this? When they say constructive judgment, like constructive criticism.
And I call it critical assessment.
Critical assessment.
That's it.
Right?
That's what you were coming to me for. And you knew that I cared about you. That's the difference.
Oh, yes.
You knew that I cared about the person that you are. I wasn't just caring about the result that you can get from me working with you, mentoring. I cared just about the person that you were growing into becoming. Yeah. And I don't want to gloss over that because I think that you have some phenomenal, amazing viewers, listeners, but more so supporters, family, right? Who could really learn from the idea of getting a mentor or getting a coach, getting someone who may be just a little bit further than you who can then help you. We always hear, and I said it earlier, but I want to make it very explicit right now. We always hear like, since I can do it, you can do it. Well, I'm saying since I can do it, you can do it, but you can actually do it better than me because I can give you all the game.
Wow. And then you can grow off that game.
Right.
Come on, man.
So get yourself a mentor, get yourself a coach, tap in with someone who will be honest with you, who loves you, who cares for you, who will critically assess where you are. And that's how we grow.
Man, and I've always said this too. it is perfectly okay. It's actually, I recommend getting a mentor outside of your family, outside of your parents, because your parents are, don't get me wrong, your parents can be amazing for you, but sometimes you have to hear perspective from somebody else outside of the family household. And that's what he has been for me. That's what Senior Garza, Miss Armbrust, Mr. Alvarez, Mr. Armbrust, etc. The list can go on, right? Coach Devon. People that have impacted my life outside of my immediate family. And not to get too long-winded, because, like I said, once again, I'm intentional with what I'm saying right now.
I like that.
I want to leave this conversation open for a part 2 in the future, right? So I'm going to, in a way, shut it off there.
Okay.
Right? Because it's too much free game and there's so much more we can't give. But I want them to be patient and wait for some more knowledge. But if you want to tap into more knowledge, tap on my boy on IG and on his YouTube channel, Dwight Taylor Sr. Then you go get all the knowledge you need until the next time he is on this podcast, which by the next time he's on this podcast, speaking to existence, we'll probably be in a big old studio somewhere, professionally ran. Although I'm a professional, but professionally picked up by somebody else where I don't have to do all the work. Me and Trio don't have to do all the work. We can just be there.
And shout out to Trio.
Shout out to Trio,
killing
man.
It.
Hey, man. Killing it right now.
Killing it.
Literally.
Yes.
Shout out to my boy Trio, man, taking the notes. He's behind all the production, hidden the note taking, the camera switching, all of that is him. I'm not saying nothing right now. I'm just talking because he's doing all the work. But I kind of want to ask you 2 questions.
Let's do it.
Right? I usually say you want the serious or funny one or fun one first. I'm going to give you the fun one first because I want the serious to be the ender.
Okay.
Now, I haven't asked this question in quite a long time. Actually, I've never asked this question. Like I said, I'm not going to ask you your top 5 in basketball. I'm not going to ask you top 5 football. I'm going to ask you, I need your top 3 because this is one of your best friends. Top 3 boxers of all time.
Oh, man.
Shout out to Andre Ward.
Yeah, so number 1.
Come on.
Number 1 is...
I mean, I pay attention,
number
man.
1 is Andre S.O.G. Ward. Shout out to my brother. Actually, if you get my book, you can hear about this story that I talk about with him included. But yeah, so that's number 1. Number 2 for me would be Roy Jones Jr., just because that's the era I grew up in. You know what I mean? I love Roy. I loved his confidence in himself. You dig what I'm saying? To just be able to put his hands behind his back and dodge and then sneak in with a quick left.
Come
you
on,
dig
man.
what I'm saying? So Roy, and then I gotta go with Mike Tyson.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, I gotta go with Iron Mike. So those are my 3. But Dre all day. Shout out to my boy, my brother Andre Ward. We go back years, bro. And so yeah.
I would let him meet him. I would let him meet him.
We can make that happen.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, we can make it happen.
I'm gonna give you my top 3 from what I grew up watching.
Talk to me.
Floyd is on there.
Okay.
I grew up watching Floyd, right? Tyson, ferociousness, right? And I'm gonna throw in a young guy, who's one of my favorites to watch to this day, Javonte Davis. Little Tank.
Him. I like Tank.
I love watching Tank.
Yeah,
because everybody keeps saying he's not a boxer, but he keep winning.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, but
he's a winner.
He's a winner.
He's a winner.
He'll figure out
call him what you want to call him. He's a winner.
He's a winner. Say what you want to say about him, that he don't got the boxing tendencies, but he's a winner.
Yeah.
And those are my 3, and I just, especially because Floyd, because he perfected the craft of defense in a game of where it's hit and don't be hitting. Right. Or hit and do not get hit.
Yeah.
He's perfected that. You'll throw 300 punches and land 80 of those, or if that 50.
Right.
And he'll throw 200 and land 120. Right?
Yeah.
That's what the game of boxing actually is. Yeah. It's a statistical, analytical game. Everybody wants to see us kill each other or see them kill each other out there, but in reality, it's like Floyd is like, why am I going to go out there and get in a bar brawl when I could tactically touch you and you can't touch me? Now you mad. Right. Now I'm running.
Right.
You just can't hit me.
Right.
You kind of can't run in a square because you can cut the ring off, but he's just sitting there just all that, right? So I think he's one of the greatest defensive fighters I've ever seen in my life. But that's why I brought that, because I've actually never talked about boxing on any podcast, but I know your boy is a boxer, one of the best boxers to ever do it.
Let me say 2 things real quick. So with the Floyd thing, as you were talking, because I'm a storyteller, I get to speak, and I'm gonna use this at some point. I'm gonna give you your credit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about the day I was on Marcellus' podcast. He talked about Floyd, and you said something about his defense. And as you were talking, I was thinking, when we live by principles, when we live a principle-centered life, the decisions that we need to make are usually made for us before the choices are presented to us.
That's a fact.
right? Because if I live by the principle of being kind no matter what, then no matter who does anything to me, I already know how I'm going to answer. I'm going to be kind. I know how I'm going to respond in kindness. That's literally what Floyd is doing. Floyd lives by a certain principle that it don't matter what you throw his way, he's going to be able to duck and dodge because of his principles.
Oh, I like that.
And what he lives by.
I like that.
Right? So he's able to respond well to it. You throw a left, oh, boom, he going one way. You throw a right, you throw an uppercut. He lives by a principle. So we can literally put that into our life and start living principle-centered lives to where no matter what choices are presented, our decisions are made for us because we live a certain way. So that's number one. Number two, when it comes to Dre is such a, man, boxing for him is a science. It's an art, but it's a science. Bruh is a studier. That's what most people don't know. He is a practitioner. He's very tactical, but it's a science for him. He is extremely intelligent just as a human being. He's dope as a father, dope as a husband. But when he gets into that ring, it's a science. And I'm able to learn so much from him, even about what I do as a professional communicator. I'm not in a ring boxing, but every day I'm in some type of arena like today, going back and forth with someone. And I have to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do to continue to add value to this space. Dre is making sure that he's not only adding value to himself when he's in the ring, but also the millions who came to watch him. But my man, he got it down to a science. So I appreciate you bringing boxing up, bro.
Come on, man. I guess it's the perfect person to bring it up again because you've been around it.
Come on.
And like he said before I asked his last question, everybody watching, make sure no matter what, you can control this outcome, by the way. You're adding value to someone's life.
Come on.
It's like playing defense on the basketball court. You can control your defensive effort every night. Your shot might not go in, but you can control your effort.
Come on.
So control your effort to be of value in someone's life every day.
Perfect effort and nothing less.
Come on.
You know anything about me?
Come on.
I say be your best, forget the rest. Give your perfect effort. Not be perfect, but give your perfect effort and nothing less every moment, second, minute, hour of every day. Perfect effort.
One of my favorite quotes he said when he came to Capitol, he said that direct quote right there. And I wasn't the one to naturally stand up and go walk to the front of the chapel when they were playing the music because I'm a gospel or Christian rap listener. It's like when they're playing the no disrespect, when they're playing the slow songs, I kind of like, that's not what resonates with me. But when that he's an awesome God, he reigns, like song like that, I'm like, hold on, but let me stand up real quick. And when someone's rapping, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the front real quick, right? I went up there with my boy DJ and UC, we were just vibing up there.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to my boys, my brothers. Last thing, I want you to talk to lock on your camera and tell somebody out there who may need to hear this, who actually needs to hear this. How can dominating their day be purposeful to change their mindset from yesterday?
That's a great question, a great one to end on. So, Trio, am I good in the camera? Right? I want to make sure that I present in excellence something I learned from you. In order to dominate our day, you've been hearing me say it all day, we have to define everything. And one of the best ways to define stuff is with words. But words are made up of letters.
Literally.
So I want to take it all the way back to the beginning for us. And I'm going to give you some keys to just dominate. And we're going to do it like this. Awaken your awareness to the opportunities around you. Believe in yourself even when those closest to you doubt you. Create your circle. Discover your gifts. Eliminate excuses that fly past your lips. Face your fears because behind them lies success. Give effortlessly and be sure to give your very best. Hinder hesitation. Go and make your decision. Intimidate insecurities that keep you locked up like prison. Jumpstart your joy. Kill them with kindness. Listen actively to add value, not minus. Maximize the moment, the minute, the second. Neglect negativity with positive thinking as your weapon. Operate with optimism. Pursue your wildest dreams. Question your motives, your circle, your team. Respond well to every situation. Surpass expectations by tapping into your greatness. Talk to yourself, something like Ali. Pause right there. We didn't even bring my man Ali up.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't even bring him up.
He's top 3.
Come on.
He's top 3.
Talk to yourself, something like Ali. Unlock your potential. First, start with your self-esteem. Visualize your victory. Jordan did it best. Work with what you have, giving perfect effort, nothing less. X-ray your heart on a moment-to-moment basis. Yearn for so much more out of life. Please don't waste it. And now that I've come to the end of my real ABCs, I'm starting to believe I should have began with the letter Z. Because in order to take these 25 letters to make you higher, there's one more thing I must tell you. Zeal is required. Once again, this is Dwight Taylor Sr., Kia's husband, Dwight, Isaiah, and Halea's father, and I approve this message. Dominate your day. Appreciate you, dog.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about right there,
if y'all
man.
didn't catch that, go back and repeat it. That's the ABCs, A to Z.
Come on, man.
Dominate your day with that.
He said hinder hesitation.
Come on.
Don't hesitate, just do.
Come on.
Man, my dog, I genuinely appreciate your company always, and I appreciate you hopping on this podcast, spreading some knowledge, man. This episode, is one for the books. I don't know what book is for.
Right.
It might be Dominate Your Day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Or it might be his book.
It might be Dominate Your Day.
It might be his book.
Yeah, he's also challenged me to write a book 3 years ago. I haven't started that process yet. But yeah, this is one for the books. I am so appreciative of your time because I know your time is valuable. Your time is money. It costs. Your time costs. And I appreciate you pulling up and sharing your time and a little bit of your knowledge. This is just a little bit, tip of the iceberg, y'all. I'm telling y'all right now, this man is amazing.
Appreciate that, brother.
But yeah, if you guys are watching on YouTube, man, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Follow and subscribe to my guy, Dwight Taylor Sr. on all platforms.
Yep.
Link in the description. And if you're listening on all the audio platforms, hit that follow button, man. This has been another episode of the Backyard Podcast. Absolutely beautiful episode. Man, just thankful. And we end every episode how I start all my reaction videos and end my reaction videos. So a quiz. Do you know what 2 words I say to start and end every reaction vid?
I do not.
Hey, as long as you're honest. Only one person's got it right, so it don't matter.
I do not.
So on 3, we're going to say you dig.
Oh,
And you say it without even noticing it. Come on, man, you dig.
I do.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. You dig. Man, that was beautiful.